if you think that you don't have as much money as you'd like to have, knowing where it went might make you more aware of where it could go in the future. Hello, welcome back to Classics with a Quirk, where we talk about contemporary and luxury designer items and brands with a touch of silliness. This is the kind of content you find interesting. Please do like this video and subscribe for more of it. Thank you. This video is kind of like a how I afford luxury, but primarily talking about some money saving tips that I personally implement that do allow me, in some ways, help me to afford some luxury items. Some of these tips will only save you a few $100s a year, but it's a rolling amount, so you'll save a few $100s every year for kind of like the rest of your life if you do that, which can add up. And some of these tips will save you thousands of dollars a year, but all of these tips are things that work for me specifically. And so they might not work for you for things like maybe you don't want to change this thing, or maybe you can't do this thing. Like, I do understand that this is very personal, like finance can be very personal and ways that you save money is very personal. But I wanted to, in this video, kind of talk about some money saving tips, not even just like ways to buy luxury, but just ways to save money that in some cases are also a lot better for the environment, like very environmentally friendly, which is very important to me. But in general, just like money saving tips that you can put into play or you can utilize in some capacity to just make small changes. And I don't mean small changes like not buying a coffee every month or week or day, because I wanted to talk about like actual ways that you can save money. I don't buy coffee every day. It's not a way I save money because I just already don't do it. But these are changes that I have made or things that I do that save me money. That was a really long-winded intro. That's very common on my channel, so you're used to that. I'm not even going to say I hope that's okay. You're used to it already, so if you're not, welcome. This is probably your first time here, but if you have watched literally any of my other videos, you know that this is where it's going. Timestamps will be down below so you can see what things I talk about and skip to which section you're interested in. But I'm going to go ahead and just start with a caveat, which is I don't have kids and I don't have debt. And both of those things really do enable me to save a lot more money than somebody who might have debt, or might have kids, or might have both. Children are very expensive, and that's not the reason I don't have them, but it's a truth about children. They cost a lot of money, and debt is a huge factor in why somebody might not be able to have a lot of excess funds because they're just throwing it towards a debt pit. Like, I do understand that those things are big parts of a lot of people's lives, but they're not something that have to do with me. I worked my way through college and paid my college off as I did so. I went to community college first and then went to a university. So the first 2 years of my college were also incredibly inexpensive. I own my car, and it like small things like I don't like getting my nails done. It's not even that I don't get my nails done. I actively dislike it. Like I don't enjoy it at all. I've had to get my nails done for a couple of different occasions and I didn't like it the entire time. And I'm not even mentioning that in this video because for people who do get their nails done, usually you understand that you're spending that much money on nails, like you're aware of it. And so it doesn't make sense for me to tell you to get rid of what probably is a luxury to you, or in some cases something that is necessary to you to feel a certain way or to do certain things in your life. Like that's fine. I'm not going to try to tell you to not do that, but it is something that saves me money because I don't like it. I don't like it at all. That's what I mean about these things being very personal. All right, so the first way that I save money, and a tip that you might be able to utilize in your own life, is I don't drink. I've never enjoyed it. It's not something that I grew up doing, and it's not something that I really care to do now. I don't drink, and I don't even mean don't eat out. I mean, if you do eat out, just don't get drinks with your meal, or don't drink at home, or don't drink as much at home as you might. Like that's the whole tip. Even just getting a mocktail or something, like if you want to go out and you want to get like a fancy beverage, mocktails cost usually like half of what the actual alcoholic drink costs. It's just true. Alcohol is very expensive, especially now, and not drinking or not drinking alcohol specifically saves you a lot of money. Like even if you're going out to like not even an upscale restaurant, but just like a nice restaurant, a drink or two might be like $15 to $30 to $45, and that's $45 or $30 like on top of your dinner. So if you cut out the drinking, then that's like $30 that's saved from that meal that you can like put towards something else. I have nothing against drinking really, as long as you're not doing it in a way that's like harmful to you or other people, but like it's just very expensive. And that's not the reason I don't drink, but it is just a truth that drinking is very expensive. Now, I will say that I know, like with mentioning the nails before, like there are some people who do really enjoy drinking, like going out for drinks is how you socialize and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to drink the alcohol. You still, again, could get the mocktail. And I mean, I know somebody who really loves to socialize, and one of the ways she does is she goes out for drinks, and she can spend easily $3,000 a year on alcoholic beverages. That's money that's gone. $3,000 a year on alcoholic beverages. And again, like if she likes to socialize by going out for drinks and she gets mocktails instead, that's easily half the cost of an alcoholic drink. And then you're saving half of $3,000, which is like $1,500 a year. And that's no small amount of change. Like if I go out, I'll either get like an appetizer or something, or again, I'll get a non-alcoholic beverage of some sort. So instead of spending like $15 on a drink, I'm spending like $6, and I'm fine with that. Again, I'm spending so much less money going out and enjoying the same thing and enjoying the same company on such a smaller amount of spend. So another maybe more like everybody can utilize this tip, down to earth tip, is on a product that I use every day, and that's household cleaners. So I use Blue Land cleaners. I've been using Blue Land cleaners for years. This portion of the video is sponsored by Blue Land, which I am very excited about because, as I just said, I've been using them for years without a sponsorship. I just have used their products. And Blue Land is a sustainable and eco-friendly company that makes cleaning products, which is really cool because, as you know, I am not only big on luxury, but I've talked about sustainability and eco-friendliness quite a lot on my channel, so that's pretty neat. And also their cleaners are quite affordable, which is the point of this video, is that they're one of the ways that I do save money. You can pay upwards of like $5 to $10 on cleaners, and Blue Land tablets like start at $2, so already you're saving a lot of money. And even if it's just $3 saved or $7 saved in a bottle of hand soap, you're in the long term saving quite a lot. It really, really does build. The other thing about Blue Land, which on top of like the saving money in the cleaning products, but going back to the eco-friendliness and sustainability, is that they don't believe in single-use plastic bottles. They don't believe in waste. Even their wrappers are compostable, which is really, really neat. They're also Cradle to Cradle certified, which is the global standard for products that are made safe, circular, and responsibly made, which is a really big deal. And they're B Corp certified, which is huge. You very rarely get products, especially cleaning products, that are B Corp certified, so that's a really big bonus. Blue Land cleaners are also super duper easy to use because you basically just get like a bottle, like a spritzer bottle or something, or a pump bottle. You fill it with warm water to the line, you put a tablet in it, you wait for the tablet to thoroughly dissolve without like shaking or stirring, and then like in minutes you have a cleaning product or a hand soap that you can just use until the bottle is done. And again, the tablets start at $2 a tablet, so it's really easy to just refresh. You can also save additional money by using their subscription service for refills, or by trying them out for the first time with their Clean Essentials kit, which includes a glass cleaner, a bathroom cleaner, an all-purpose cleaner, and a hand soap. And you can also earn additional money off if you use my discount code link down below for a 10% off your order of a minimum of $25 or more. So I want to say thank you again to Blue Land for sponsoring this video. I do believe in their products. I do use their products. And it's also a good way to save money while being good for the environment. So that's a win. In the same note of environmental friendliness and saving money, especially in the long term, I want to talk about something so big that no one mentions, and that is shaving razors. For anybody who uses a razor, I don't care who you are or what you do, if you shave and you're using disposable plastic razors, or razors that have like plastic like refills or any type of refill razor, and you're not using a standard metal blade, a weighted blade with razor refills, you are throwing money away and also throwing plastic away. A friend of mine introduced me to safety razors several years ago, and I have never looked back. It takes you a little bit of time to kind of get used to like how you have to hold the weighted blade to get a proper shave, but really, seriously, I have not looked back. I recommend the brand Merkur, and I'll link them down below, and razors start at like $20 up to I think $40, and then a box of 100 blades costs you like $9, and that's pennies really on the dollar for razor blades. So if you're shaving regularly and you change out your blade like once every 2 weeks, that's like $3 for the entirety of the year on shaving. It's like $20-ish startup cost for the safety razor and, you know, the box of blades, but then $3 for the entire year on shaving. That's not very much at all. And like a box then will last you, what, 3 years? Like you can just shave for the rest of your life for maybe $50. It's amazing. And then if you compare that to disposable or plastic razors, or even high quality, just reusable razors that you still have to replace a blade for that also has plastic in it, like those can be like $15 for a razor or $15 for a blade. Even the cheap disposable kinds are like, you know, $15 for a set of 4 or something. And just the amount of money you can save by not using disposable razors or disposable blades or plastic disposable blades is exponential, especially in the long term. Like you can save maybe $100 or $200 a year, and then just in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, because your metal safety razor will last you forever. It's a lot of money in the end. It really is. And it's just something that no one really talks about. And so I wanted to mention it. Moving away from products that you can reuse or replace for a second, I want to talk about something that I do understand, first of all, that not everybody can do. I do understand that this is not a tip that everybody can utilize, but it is something I wanted to mention because it is something that really can impact your finances. And that is buying instead of financing. Now, again, I understand that that's not something everybody can do. Most people can't like outright buy a car or outright buy a house. There are big things that you finance. Like I do understand that. But for smaller things, for things that are a few $1,000s, things that you can afford, things that you do have the money for, okay? Not something that you have to put money down. Like say you have to buy a new computer for $1,200 and you don't have $1,200. If you can finance for 0% interest for a year as opposed to like putting it on credit and going into debt in that capacity on a credit card, like, okay, yes, totally understand that. But if you have the $1,200 to buy the computer outright, it makes so much more sense to buy it outright than pay the additional $200 or $300 that financing costs you. Again, there are exceptions to this, but generally financing means you're paying more money for the item or the experience or the thing. And just overall, the amount of money you can save by buying something as opposed to putting amounts on it. Again, I know it's not something that everybody can do. Not everybody has the money at once to buy something. Not everybody wants to buy something all at once, and they prefer to spend a little bit more to pay it in slower increments and smaller increments. I do understand, but it is something that I do, so I wanted to mention it here. I buy everything outright if I can at all do so. And honestly, generally, if I can't buy it outright, I just don't buy it. That's not even a tip. It's just something about me that if I can't buy something with money I already have, with the exception again of like big purchases, I don't buy it because I think that for me, if I can't buy it, then I can't buy it. Yeah. Anyway, another thing that I do is I buy my luxury pre-loved, and this is specifically luxury, obviously, but you can apply this to clothing if you thrift or anything really that you can buy. You know, you can buy a used car, you can buy thrifted clothing, but specifically luxury. I buy a lot of my luxury pre-loved, and that is one of the ways that I save money because I'm not buying it new, so I'm not paying new prices, and I'm also often saving more money because I'm buying it on the pre-loved market. Now, I do want to say that I understand first and foremost that there is a lot of fear, especially now, about getting an inauthentic item. I do understand. I personally am comfortable with buying pre-loved because one, I am at this point pretty confident in my own abilities to judge an item, especially once I get it. Even by judging it on, based on pictures, I'm pretty confident in sometimes like whether or not I think an item is something worth paying for. And so I don't mind, but I do tend to third-party authenticate my pieces. I do have a code for real authentication that if you use the code for the first time, you get $5 off. So I'll put it in the video here, and I'll also just like leave it in my description box, like the code to use real authentication for $5 off. I also have made a couple of videos on buying pre-loved in terms of condition of the item you're buying and the wear that it may or may not have. So I'll link those videos for you as well. But it's a really good way to save money. And also, one of the reasons I buy pre-loved is because I like vintage. I love vintage Chanel. I like vintage Louis Vuitton. I like some of the things that I want to buy, I can't buy new. Like I can't buy a Mademoiselle quilted Chanel with the big CC turn lock new because I just don't do that anymore, especially not in the old lambskin with the old 24 karat gold alloy plated hardware. So I just can't buy that new. So I do buy it pre-loved. But I also paid less money for it on the pre-loved market than I could be paying for a new bag in boutique. My Louis Vuitton Cabas piano that I talk about all the time because I really like it and I really use it, I bought that for about $300 off of a Japanese seller on eBay. And I mean, I have zero complaints. Yeah, the vachetta is a little bit worn, but it's a very nice honey patina. I cleaned it up myself. It didn't really come with an odor, but a little bit. So I did treat the odor. I cleaned it, so I wasn't worried about like it not being a dirty bag. I've made some videos on cleaning and rehabbing bags. I have a video actually out on how to clean Louis Vuitton canvas, so I'll link that for you. And not being scared to buy pre-loved really opens you up to a lot of more options and variety and savings, which is the point of this video, you know, the savings. Like my Chanel reissue 225, I bought that pre-loved, and I specifically bought it pre-loved because I was looking for a 50th anniversary edition bag, but I also paid so much less than the bag was retailing for at the time, and certainly less than what it is currently retailing for. I think when I bought that reissue, the reissue was currently selling for $6,800, and I bought it for about $4,000. So I saved almost $3,000 just buying it on the pre-loved market. Even though, yes, I understand it was an older bag, but reissues were going for about that much. And they're still going for about that much, like $4,000, $5,000, sometimes even under $4,000. And considering that the reissue new costs like over $8,000 now from a boutique, you're going to save so much money if you're willing to buy pre-loved. And if you're willing to buy pre-loved and then obviously get it authenticated by a third party. And there are quite a few people that I recommend. If you would like a video on authentication, even just services I use, like let me know, I can do a quick one on that. But yeah, it's a way that I am able to get bags that I otherwise couldn't get, because I was not buying Louis Vuitton when the Cabas piano was out before it was discontinued. And I wasn't buying Chanel in 2005 either. So like, you know, those are ways that I can get bags that I really, really like. And as I said, there are ways to get a really good savings. So that's just a suggestion. Now for this next like tip slash thing that I personally do, I know I already mentioned drinking and I don't really want to focus on this a lot, but eating out and or not eating out is really a way that I save money. And I don't even mean like not indulging or splurging at a nice place or eating out with friends or doing like dinner or anything like that, but just like lunch, I personally do cook. I do cook a lot of my own meals. I get a lot of sense of satisfaction from being able to make my own healthy meals or make my own fancy meals, or like knowing exactly what goes into my food. I really enjoy that. And I personally feel that being able to cook is something to be proud of, and that there's a lot of merit in at least knowing how to feed yourself. And knowing how to feed yourself creatively is also kind of nice, because sometimes if I just like have 3 different ingredients, I can make them into something that's tasty and like good. So that's something that I do enjoy. But even if you don't like cooking, but you can like make a salad or make a sandwich or something, or get creative with like lunches, that really is a way that you can save money. Because say that you're like, you go to work, you have an office job or something like that, and you buy lunch at work. Okay, you know, that's totally understandable. And say you're like trying to be frugal with your lunch, so you're only getting like a salad and a drink, or like a sandwich and a drink or something. So like $15, maybe like a little bit more, something like that, $20 if you're, you know, being kind of frugal about it. So $15 for lunch. And you do that 5 times a week, okay? So 15 times 5, right? So that's $75. And if you're doing that every single month, that's $300 a month just on lunch. And if you're doing that every single month in the working year, that's over $3,000 on just lunch. And if you instead like changed out like 1 or 2 of those meals, like instead of 5 lunches a week, you're eating at 3 lunches a week, you're already going from $75 down to like $45, so saving $30 a week, just bringing your lunch 2 times. And that means you're then spending $180 a month instead of $300 a month. So you're saving $120 a month, or like $1,500 a year on just not eating lunch out twice a week. So, I mean, I do understand that that's also not feasible for somebody to like not eat out a lot, or you eat dinner out, or you do get takeaway for lunch. But it's just these small things that if you do like one change, like instead of eating out 5 times, you eat out 3 times, you can save $1,500 a year. That's not insignificant, and so it is something that I do want to mention, because I'm not telling you to never eat out. I'm certainly, like, I enjoy eating out, I enjoy splurging, I enjoy going to fancy or upscale places, or like having a good time with friends, like I do. I'm not telling you not to even like go out for drinks with friends. I'm just like, maybe you could do something that isn't alcoholic and save literally half of the price of the drink. So stuff like that. That's just stuff that I think that is worth mentioning, and stuff that, yes, I do in fact do. And so I'm not spending $3,000 a year on drinks. I'm not spending $3,000 a year on lunch. That's $6,000 that I'm just not spending, and that I then have for other things, and that's kind of the point. That's $6,000 that I just have instead of other things, and I put that towards other stuff that I want, and that includes luxury. Finally, I want to end with the number one way that I save money, and this is something that anybody can do. It is the number one thing that keeps me on track. It's the number one way I am able to save and spend the amount I do, and that is tracking what I buy as I buy it. And I don't even mean making a budget. I mean literally just writing down what I've bought the day I make the purchase. And that can be on paper, that can be in Quicken. I use an Excel spreadsheet that I've made myself. Let me know if you'd like that. I guess I could probably figure out how to share it somehow, but just writing down what I buy, tracking what I buy the day I make the purchase, not backwards budgeting and like checking back of what I've spent over the month, not even like tallying up what I've spent over a week or something, but every single time I make a purchase, I write it down. That holds me so accountable and makes me so aware of how my money is moving and where my money is going. And I don't feel like I'm coming from it from a place of lack, because I don't even necessarily have to budget my purchases. I just am making myself aware of what I'm spending. And that just makes me rethink sometimes a purchase. Like if I'm spending $30 on a pair of shoes, or $70 on a pair of shoes, or $200 on a pair of shoes, sometimes I go, how do I feel about writing down that I spent $200 on a pair of shoes? Do I want to do that? Do I want to write down that I spent $70 on a pair of shoes? Do I want to do that? And instead I can maybe decide to not buy those shoes this time, and then I have that $200 or $70 or $30 that I otherwise wouldn't have. And sometimes I go, yeah, I want to write down that I spent $200, and then I do, and then I see it written down, and then I know I've already spent that $200 on something. I don't have that $200 to spend on a different thing. And it holds me accountable, but not in a way that I find limits me. Because yes, I personally do budget. I do have saving spots. I made a video a while back on ways that I save my money in terms of like my financials in general. I'm planning on making another video about just like an updated video on financials, like in more specific terms. But that's just tracking my spending as I spend it is such an important thing for me. And I think it really can make a difference. And the reason I think so, and kind of the reason I know so, is because I have several friends who have started tracking, and the amount of money they then save, or at least are made aware of that they're spending, has been a big change in their lives. Like I have a friend who was tracking how much money that he was spending, and then he realized how much money he was spending on certain areas of his life, and he hadn't even thought about it as like a big deal, but then seeing the concrete number really kind of made him understand how much he was actually spending in a way that he'd never thought of before. And that really changed how he chose to spend his money and how he chose to save his money. And it's just stuff like that, it's just stuff that is little things that make you aware of a bigger picture. And so tracking my money makes me more aware of my own bigger picture. I just think that that's very helpful. And I think of all of my tips, that's probably my top one. That's like my number one way, my number one recommended tip is just write down what you spend when you spend it, and then revisit that every week or every month and just see where your money is going. Because chances are, once you see where your money is going, if you think that you don't have as much money as you'd like to have, knowing where it went might make you more aware of where it could go in the future. So that's it. Those are my money saving tips, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any tips of your own, please do feel free to share them in a comment down below. Or if you have any thoughts or opinions on my tips, I'd also be interested in hearing about it. Again, I do know that they might not work for everybody, but if you do end up implementing any of these, or you've decided to track your money and you can see where stuff goes, please do tell me. I would love to hear about it. I think that's so interesting, and I think it's fun and important to share that kind of thing. So please feel free to do so. Thank you again to Blueland for their sponsorship, and don't forget that if you use my link below, you get 10% off your purchase of $25 or more. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please do give it a like. It super duper helps the algorithm, and subscribe for more content that helps the algorithm even more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.